Hello, 3,361 subscribers. I built 30 plus real-life AI solutions for businesses, including chatbots, voice AI agents, and automations, assembled about 200 prototypes for companies in different industries with different use cases. Today, I'll share 8 advanced but pretty straightforward techniques that can easily 10x your agents with just a few modifications. When we are building agents, we want them to be either more accurate or more human, to mimic human behavior, right? First, we need to understand where are we actually going to use it. We have text-based agents or chatbots, voice-based agents or AI callers. They could be inbound or outbound or automations. Obviously, for the automations, it's a bit different since you don't usually have a full-blown AI automation. Usually AI is used in certain steps. We'll hop on Make and I will show you real life examples from one of our clients where we actually use a lot of the AI steps to manipulate the data and structure it in the way how we would want it to. These are very general rules that I follow when I create all of the prompts for essentially all of these use cases. First, make it short so that it's pretty straightforward. Shorter it is, easier for AI to understand the information. Use simple words for the analyzation and fancy words like adjectives to express emotions. Essentially, again, we can categorize the prompts into A, classifying certain information and manipulating the data, and B, actually talking to someone and providing an output, right? So when you talk to someone, you need to describe how you want the bot to behave. So what is his personality? And here I use like fancy words or adjectives. Obviously you can be more straightforward and say, hey, don't use like fancy words to describe, to not sound like AI-ish, right? Or you might want to use it in certain cases and provide examples of the words that you would want AI to use so that it sounds more human. Maybe this is your use case. Use markdown formatting. Again, there are a lot of different ways how you can structure your what we usually call master prompt. You can do it using JSON. You can use it using pure text. We always use markdown, and from my experience, this is the best format to make that so that AI understand the information, especially when there are a lot of different sections, a lot of different contexts passed through the variables. Now let's go to the actual sauce. These are 8 hacks that will help you to actually scale your agents and either A, provide more accurate information to the user, or B, to sound more humanish, okay? First one is to use Claude and train it on your prompt history. Again, it really depends on your workflow. We have a few different agents. For example, here is for example, for some reason used for O, but this is an agent where we use to craft our cold email scripts or the prompts that we use to personalize the cold emails, right? Essentially, it's very straightforward. So you can either get my prompts from all of my videos, upload it to the ChatGPT and mention that, hey, I want you to follow the same exact structure, but make a whole new prompt for a new use case that I have, and then explain the use case. Again, for some reason here I use ChatGPT. We usually always use Sonnet because it's from my experience, it has a better understanding on how to create rules for other agents. Actually, I've been testing a lot O1 preview. I'm not ready to say that it's better for the prompt creation than Sonnet, but it is at the same level essentially. But the problem here is that, for example, for the preview, if you are going to iterate your prompts, there's going to be a huge history of data. So the model will need to have a lot of the context to operate on, right? Because, for example, imagine this is the whole prompt, and you will like AI provide you the prompt, and you'll do a few modifications saying, hey, like change this, change that, based on your provided guidelines that like you input earlier. So it's going to be like 4 or 5 utterances just to create one prompt. And then imagine that when you have like 10 or 20 different prompts, it's going to be like a huge agent. But I think this is the easiest way for you to start. Again, I have all of my agents, automations, and chatbots for free in my resource hub. So there is a first link in the description. You go there, and there is my, resource library. You go there, and for example, like you can download this template, go to this agent, and copy and paste this prompt into the Claude and say, hey, I want the exact same structure. Same way with, VAPI prompts or the make.com scenarios. Everything is available for free, so you can just copy and paste it. I think it's pretty straightforward, right? The second one, always start with a goal when you are creating the prompt or do a role-playing thing. So essentially, you need to provide a context for the AI so that it knows how to behave. You can try to think it in a way like how you would explain it to a 5-year-old. Maybe it's like very obvious, but what I usually find is that I type a lot of unnecessary things to describe my feelings and emotions, trying to let AI know what is his actual goal. Again, it more applied to the actual like prompt creation. But for example, if we go to the chatbot agent here, the goal of this agent to analyze the information and then output either 1 or 2. This is an intent classification prompt. We call it agents inside the voice flow scenarios. So in here, we always start with the goal. So the goal is you're an intent classification smart system designed to analyze user utterance, and you're looking based reference. Okay. For example, if we go to VAPI, this is a voice-based thing. So it's not kind of like a system, right? It's an agent, because this is a system we're using a goal reference. Since this is an actual agent that will mimic human behavior, I'm saying that your role is, okay? These little things do matter. I believe if you input goal here instead of the role, it will do the job. But again, these little things matter on the bigger scale. When you have a lot of the conversations, it's easier to stick to the same thing over and over when you have the best like structure that you can possibly do. If we go, for example, to the make.com scenario, this is the scenario where we are analyzing documents from the website. So here we're scraping the website, and then we are finding the URL of a certain document, and then based on what information we found, like we go to 2 different flows. So if we go here to the find URL, we should have the user prompt, the system prompt, and here is the instruction. Okay, so this is kind of a bit of a different example, since we're like creating 3 separate prompts with different roles, right? So this is the user, so this is, I think, not really applicable. Here's my instantly. This is where we personalize some of our emails. Obviously, we use Claude a lot, Clay, to upload our prospect list and then personalize it based on the information provided there. But we also use Instantly, because Instantly, I will blur like some information. So Instantly has AI columns, right? So here, for example, you have the AI prompts. And if you go to like my templates, so these are some of the prompts that I have that will create. So it will go line by line and like take all the information, and then based on the information, create a whole new column with cells that are related specifically to the business, right? For example, the easiest like the easiest thing to understand is the company name prompt. Okay, so let's say we want to reference a company name in our cold email. Instead of referencing like the whole company name, it might be 3-5 letters, we are asking AI to analyze the company name and output just one like brand word. It doesn't work in 100% of the cases, right? But usually it does, and it really sounds more human because you're not gonna input the whole company name when you're referencing it in the real chat, right? Okay, so here's the goal. Same thing, right? So we are not saying that your role, because it's not an agent, so it's just the system that needs to analyze the information. We don't need to mimic human behavior, we just want it to follow the prompt. I think you got the idea. And here, like, we structure it with like different examples. We'll go into this later on. I want to mention a few things. This Saturday I am launching the first and the only product that I have for you guys, for my subscribers. It's called 99 Players. This will be a thing that will actually help you to make a real life business selling AI solutions. I do believe that this is going to be the best product on the market right now. I am putting my reputation onto it. There's a waitlist open. This video will be published Tuesday. Tomorrow, I am actually doing a pre-launch where I will give access to certain people. Obviously, it's the pay thing. So if you are like serious about the space, like my videos, and want to learn the actual like things, this is the place for you. I'm saying this because, for example, the things like I showed you just now with the instantly, I am not able to share everything here. I'm not comfortable to share it on like a few thousand people, that this is like my average like views count, right? So I'm not comfortable to give you the exact like prompts that I use to create like certain things in my cold emails, or the exact strategies that I use to acquire clients, or for example the niches that I do. So everything will be actually discussed in 99 Players because it's pretty limited in terms of the members that I will allow in. That's why I will be more comfortable sharing all the details. So the waitlist is open. You can join and wait for the message tomorrow. Now let's go to the third thing. The third thing is to use 1, 2, 3 outputs to chunk down the prompts into smaller pieces or agents. Again, if you are an active viewer on my channel, you probably understand what I mean. So let's say here on this chatbot, we are here like analyzing the user intent, and based on the intent, we are sending the user to different flows. Okay, the same thing happened here, and we'll go into this example. But essentially, in voice flow, you have things called intents, right? So the intents is just the, where are they? Because I don't use it myself. Dev, whatever, like library. Holy crap. Yeah, because you have the intents here. So you can create an intent, for example, a business intent, and then give like a few different utterances, like I want to order a service, generate 10 examples. Like, let's say this is the order, create the intent. Again, I have no idea where it was. Trigger this when a user want to order something. So I didn't know where it actually is on the canvas, since I'm not using it myself. And then we can add a trigger here. Yeah, so this is the trigger. We have the order trigger. That's it. So essentially now when the user will mention things like I want to order, it will go to the specific intent. So essentially we are mimicking the same thing, but with our own agent. So essentially each and every user utterance will go through the intent classification agent, because it's just more accurate. Here we are like providing the goal, providing the rules, in the rules, we can like the types of intents we are looking for, and we're also providing the conversation history so that AI, when like user says something, okay, I want to order, AI will not only analyze this specific utterance, but will also have the whole context of the previous conversation, and the context is saved in the memory variable. Again, go watch my chatbot related videos. What I'm like explaining you right now is that here we are trying to like chunk down and classify the response and classify the intent and then send to maybe a new agent, right? So here in the rules, we are saying that somewhere. Oh, okay. So here we're not actually saying that it needs to output 1, 2, or 3, the numbers. Here we're saying, hey, you need to output either general, service, or schedule. So we are predefining exactly what we want the agent to do. So instead of, providing us a description of the intent, we're letting it know, hey, if this is a general intent, you need to output general, right? If it's the service intent, or the schedule intent. And these are the rules that make sure that the agent will only output these 3 words and nothing else. So if we go to my automation, here is the whole nother story. Here, our goal is to either find the file URL on the scraped information or not. So if we go to the instructions, we see the example. Yeah, so in the example, we say, hey, if the direct link, this is the direct link example, if it exists, output 1. If there is no link found, output 2. So here we are essentially giving the AI only 2 options to either output 1 if it finds the information that we need, or output 2, right? Then we are doing the router and saying, hey, if the result is 1, then go here. It means that it found the URL. If the result is 2, go here and do some other things. Then we are actually outputting the URL. So it might sound like, for example, if you can, guys, this specific sequence will be exported into my resource app, so you can download it. The problem is that if you explore it yourself, you might ask, hey Eugene, okay, so here you kinda analyzing the data, right? So if we go to the assistant, here we are providing as a context product name and the website content as the script information. We have the same exact thing here, but instead of asking AI to output either 1 or 2, so here, either output 1 or 2, we are asking AI to actually find and output URL. So it's the same exact prompts, but here we're outputting 1 or 2, and here we're outputting URL. So you might ask, why can't we do it here? Technically, you can. So what you can do, for example, is you can ask AI, hey, please, if the URL exists, instead of outputting 1, output the exact URL. If the URL doesn't exist, output 2. And here we will check, okay, if the result doesn't not equal to 2, it means that it's probably the URL, we'll go to the next step. The problem is that this sequence is heavily related on accuracy of the ChatGPT responses, because we are here outputting the URL and of the file, then downloading the file and then do manipulations with this file, right? That's why instead of doing everything with 1 prompt, we are chunking it down into 2 separate prompts. Thus, we have more accuracy. And in order to do that, you can use intent, whatever, classification, not sure how to call it, the middleman classification agents, right? So in our chatbot example, it was outputting either general service or schedule word. And in the condition, we were checking, okay, so if the intent is the general word, we should probably use the contains, because sometimes there are some hallucinations and it can say the word, like something like the word is general. It can output maybe 1 in like 100 like times. It can output the word is general instead of just general word, right? But this is kinda, I think, the easiest way for you to make agents more accurate by manipulating the data and outputting very like certain things that you would want it to do. Okay, let's go to the fourth example. Use bold and uppercases letters to emphasize things. Again, I already mentioned here that we're like generally always using the markdown, but here specifically, I like to not yell on the AI, but just to emphasize what do I actually want. Because if you go here, you can see how many like bold letters and uppercases we use. And usually I input it for the words like must, always, never, to like let it know that you never need to do that. Okay, so here's probably, again, not a good example. I'm not sure why. Probably need to work on the prompt. Like for example, here, this is the voice AI prompt, right? So here, you always. Usually I do you must always, right? So like double emphasizing. Okay, so like you always must. So you never. Again, maybe I'm overcomplicating it, but I care about accuracy a lot. I just want to have a full control over like everything going on inside the agent. And that's why, as you can see here, I'm not using the predefined intent things from the voice flow, even though it's okay, like it's accurate. Voice flow is great. You can either, specify, okay, in the intents, you can specify in the settings, either you want to use LLM or NLU to like analyze the whole conversation. So there are a lot of different options, but I just like to have the full control over the flow, the same way as you would like you would want your child to maybe that's a crazy example, like to, I don't have children by the way, but like to do what you want her to do, right? And when the child, like him, he is, wait, okay, so this is my English is broken. When you want the child to do something and he doesn't do that, right? So you would kind of yell on it sometimes. Okay, so this kind of controversial topic, please guys, don't cancel me. Okay, so what I'm saying is that you would like put your tone up to like make sure that the child understand the information. Again, the same way is applied to like the human behavior. So but like we cannot physically yell on the AI, and this is my word of like yelling and like putting the uppercases and like bold letters to make sure that this is like super important thing. Jesus Christ, I feel like I'm gonna be canceled after this. Okay, let's go to the fifth one. Use tags to provide context with the details. Again, I use it a lot. So, and to be like completely honest, we started in Quimple, we started to use it probably like 3 or 4 months ago. And I heard it from the guy, his name is, I can remember his name, from the Discord, right? So, and he, from the Discord server of the voice law, and he advised me this technique, and I tested it in a lot of different scenarios, and it does really work. So essentially here, for example, we are providing, since this is the intent classification step, we're saying, hey, like this is the utterance, right? So we are separating everything by sections. We are doing the headings using the markdown. And here we're saying, hey, like this is the user utterance that you need to analyze. And instead of just providing the utterance, we are using the open and closing tags, so that again, just a little thing that will help AI to have a proper, structure in its computer had. Same thing for the conversation history. And here it's even more important, since like utterance usually will be like one sentence or a few words, but with a history, it's going to be usually, if it's like a long conversation, it's going to be like pretty big chunk of data with both assistant replies and the user replies. So by separating it into the tags, we're letting AI know that this is kind of how we want to separate the information and analyze it one by one. So same thing, if you go like here, you can see that, okay, you can see that in the assistant, we have the product information. So we're not like, we are not separating the product name and EPA registration number into separate sections. So it's one section, but we are separating the values inside using tags and the bold formatting. So again, like same thing applies here. This is, I think that was the demo that I was showing on the previous videos for the outbound like AI caller for database reactivation. And here, since it operates from Airtable, and let's say there is a lead on Airtable, the prospect, when we start the automation, it sent an API request to call the prospect through the VAPI with this assistant. And here, as you can see, we have the variables, so the values from Airtable go into the prompt, into the first message, as well as to the system prompt. And we are providing the reference information. For example, again, like the full prospect name, the prospect address that we have in file, since this is an insurance company, this like it's very important for the for the company to know the exact address if they moved somewhere. Phone number, which is not super important, but we have it since we have the phone number anyway, since we're like calling through the API call. That's why we're like using the phone number from the Airtable, and the prospect email on file. Okay, so I think it should be pretty straightforward. This would be my recommendation to you, to always use the tags when you're referencing the information. Now, we kind of already mentioned this thing when I was like giving stupid child, Jesus, not stupid child, the stupid example about the child. Jesus Christ. Okay, I need to get some English lessons. Okay, so say how important the accuracy of the information is for you. This thing, I think I found from the voice flow. If we go maybe to the intents, let's see if they have it here. Okay, so if we go to the intents, yes, so we have the prompt. So this is the prompt that the actual, voice flow created for the intent recognition. And I think somewhere here they were using life or death situation. You're like giving the accuracy. So we provide the context of the description. You're giving only response with the accurate. Okay, so somewhere like in like their internal prompts, I heard the thing like that they're using, and they were testing it a lot and it worked. When you say that it's please be accurate, this is a life and death situation for me, AI tend to reply like more accurately. And this is like what I use sometimes. But again, like it's the same thing as kind of yelling on the AI by providing like doing the uppercases and the bold letters and like praying at sometimes. And it's not on the prompting side, it's more like on the communication side. For example, when I'm like crafting the prompts for like some of my campaigns through the ChatGPT, or I'm like just chatting about like some random data about the business, not related to the actual agent creation, sometimes I feel like I am like literally praying, please listen. I like, can you be accurate? Please. Like, I'm doing these things to the unemotional thing, right? So sometimes it's like pretty funny, but from what I experience, it really works. Okay, so this is a quick hack for you. Now, use the proper structure with the goal, rules, guidelines, and context. We kind of already mentioned the thing about the goal, but as you can see, I always have kind of similar structure. We start with a goal, then we are providing the rules, then like there are like different types of information, like maybe guidelines, types, examples, import, and then at the end we are providing the context using the tags. And this is the structure that like we can always use, right? If you go here, we start with a goal and finish with a context. So okay, so this is kind of a weird example since these are chunked down into the different prompts, but then we have the output, we have the examples, and we have the product information at the end. Don't ask me why. I just don't really think that if you would put the context at the very beginning, it would like kind of analyze the context first and then like trying to follow the instructions without knowing the context, and the context will be like additional information which is not necessary to understand the like the role, the goal, and the rules, right? So I'm like trying to be just like based on the pure logic and my experience. I'm not giving you the exact like data points. Maybe some of you guys can like send me in the comments that I'm wrong in terms of like the actual technicality of how the artificial like intelligence analyze the information. Maybe I'm like just giving you my opinion that like this is the structure that I found works the best. Okay, and now the last thing, lower down the temperature and use like 4.0 for all the intent classification and data manipulation activities. Again, this is very it like really depends on your use case, but when we are working with the data and want AI to output only like certain predefined things like the words or 1, 2, 3, I always lower down the temperature to 0.1 and use 4.0. This is what I found work like the best. Obviously, they don't have one like 01 model yet, but it's like pretty slow, so it's not gonna work on this example. Same thing here. So we are, if I'm not mistaken, using the 4.0 model. So to classify the intents. And then, for example, here, it's like, okay, so to comparing the dates, I think we still have 4.0, but this is not the actual like production example. Here in the production, we would probably use the 4.0 mini because it's pretty good to like analyzing the information, and we just don't want to spend additional tokens because, for example, like for this specific use case, it's like this scenario runs like 3 is going to be around like, since we are like still finishing it up, will around 3,000-4,000 times per month. So it's like super costly, and you can count down the how many like steps we would have. Okay, that's why we are using like 4.0 primarily for the outputs. The same way, same thing applies to the chatbot creation. Okay guys, so these were all the 8 things that you need to have in order to kind of build very accurate and human-like experiences. Like it's the same way I think for right now like primarily focusing on the data manipulation side, but the same thing applies to like when you are defining what and how you want AI to behave, like use the rules, use the proper section, use the proper formatting, and like use the yell words like the bold and uppercases to make sure that it really understands what your goal is. Okay, and again, as a final word, try to use like and train your own agent with Claude so that you have an easier time to creating the whole like bigger prompts with the same structure. Okay, thanks for watching guys, see you in the next one. Peace.